I decided I wanted to watch all of Bleach because of the new season, Thousand Year Blood War, coming out. It was a mistake. Before embarking on this task, I decided to see how long this would take. I took all the episodes, did a bunch of boring math, and this is the number I arrived at. 116 hours and 15 minutes of Bleach, which, at least according to my anime list, isn't even that good. If the anime is so long, I bet the manga is long too. 10 hours? Huh? How is the anime that long if the manga is only 10 hours? Maybe the anime's description has something to say about this? Bleach adapts the first 54 volumes of Tite Kubo's manga series of the same name. In addition, 4 anime original arcs were broadcast in between and during the adaptations of original arcs of the manga. Filler. That's why. There are 4 arcs of filler in this show. 4 doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. The Chimera Ant arc is one of the best parts of Hunter x Hunter, and it's 61 episodes long. Okay. I will admit that's a bit of an exception, but some other good arcs don't tell much more promising stories. Water 7 arc from One Piece is 37 episodes long, Pain's Assault arc is 22 episodes long, and even Soul Society arc, one of the most praised parts of Bleach I could find online, is 21 episodes long. Let's pretend these 4 filler arcs are shorter than most of these examples, at about 14 episodes a pop. This makes each of these filler arcs 4 hours and 26 minutes long, which is made worse by there being 4 of them, totaling to 17 hours and 44 minutes of fluff. And not good fluff either, like cotton candy. Really thin fluff in a pillow that you expect to be super soft, but then you lay your head on it, the pillow just sags, leaving you pillowless and sad. So why is filler such a problem, you may ask? Man, that was a long intro to a video complaining about filler. This may seem obvious, but I felt it was important enough to need to be said. Most of the things that happen in filler section of anime is made to be purposely vague, easily undoable, or not impactful at all, because it kind of has to be. It's easy to think of filler like unseasoned and tasteless mashed potatoes. It's not there because it tastes good, nor is it there because it looks appetizing. It's there so that you can finish the meal and feel full, despite the main course being a tiny piece of meat that would certainly taste phenomenal. But it will never fill you entirely. We're also pretending here that the plot is good enough to be called filet mignon, but for some anime, in fact, probably most anime, this isn't even true, which just makes it a sadder analogy. For example, take the Decolor Islands arc from the Pokemon anime. It's 21 episodes long, on an island where characters come out of it, not changing at all. Nothing significant about the plot changes. Take this next bit with a grain of salt, because I read it from a bunch of Redditors, but I'm under the impression that this arc was to stall for Gen 6 Pokemon games and anime. Which brings me to my next point. Most filler arcs are stalling for their source material to catch up, which I understand. That is why they don't do anything with the plot, because they can't, or else they risk making plot holes. Granted, this doesn't mean source material can't have filler in it, but I believe it is much harder for source material to have filler. Parts of the source material can be more dull than others, but the author may at least sprinkle in a bit of foreshadowing, character development, or some other bits of story to make it at least a little relevant. Given that the filler can't change the plot of the main story, why not make a side story if you decide that you must stall for the source material to catch up? A great example of this would be One Piece, where they have made almost 8 movies that are not canon at all. But One Piece is definitely not the example for people to take when it comes to filler. Unfortunately, the ratings in almost all these movies tell me that they weren't very good. This begs the questions: why does an anime need to constantly stay relevant without breaks, despite taking a break undoubtedly being one of the best options? I believe the answer is found if you look at where money is made in the anime industry. A huge piece of this graph is merchandising. This means anything from character figures, tapestries, anything they can put a character on, they probably will. If the fans aren't constantly reminded of the show existing and their favorite characters being in it, then they might be less inclined to impulse buy an overpriced figurine, which means less profit. I'm not saying this is the entire reason, and it almost definitely isn't, but at the end of the day, the anime industry is still an industry, and many people that end up making the final calls on whether or not something happens are in it for the money. This isn't always the case, but it certainly is in a lot of circumstances. I don't want to go too in-depth with boring economic stuff though, because that is far too big a topic that deserves its own video, and I probably am not knowledgeable enough to talk about anyways. This part is bound to come in any video that talks about filler. One Piece. One Piece is the best example I can think of this. One Piece is a series that is praised universally by the people who have read it or watched it, and made fun of universally by everyone else. The main reason is the ungodly amounts of filler that plagues the One Piece anime. The show has 1,046 episodes at the time of writing, which works out to about 331 hours of One Piece. That means it would take almost 2 weeks of non-stop watching, no sleep, no food, no water, no nothing. Just One Piece to get through it. This is a major factor that keeps potential new fans from starting the series. The manga is a much more manageable read, but if you're unaware of that, then it is very unlikely that you will sit and watch the entire anime to catch up. In fact, the amount of filler is so bad in One Piece that an entire fan project called One Pace has been made to cut out the filler for anyone who doesn't want to read the manga, or if they just want to see their favorite arcs animated. A lot of these episodes they create are 2 episodes smushed together with a length of about 1.25 episodes in total. These ratios can change drastically depending on the amount of filler. This is incredibly helpful for One Piece diehards and One Piece newcomers alike. But this is a fan project after all, and it isn't completely up to date just yet. The problem of filler isn't exclusive to One Piece either, and not every anime has a hardworking fan base willing to gut the filler out of what could potentially be an amazing show. If it wasn't so full of meaningless episodes, half-episode long flashbacks, and recaps, then the fan project wouldn't need to exist in the first place, and One Piece would generally be easier to get into and less made fun of. Filler is bad. Really bad, but maybe they're necessary evil. Anime requires funding to make. Much of that funding is from merchandise, as I said earlier, which is probably why so many 12-episode seasonal anime have filler episodes where the character are just put into cute and very clippable situations, even though they are nowhere near being caught up with the source material. Many of these anime want to have second seasons, and to do that, they need money. That kind of filler is typically reserved for 1 or 2 episodes, so it isn't that bad. Filler, to my knowledge, is mostly a problem in long-running shows like One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, and many others. They don't pace themselves properly or just inevitably catch up with their source material. Instead of stopping production, they make filler episodes to waste time until the manga catches up. To fund the continuation of the anime, they keep iconic characters in these episodes to sell merchandise in an unfortunate cycle that results in things like the 1,050 episodes of the One Piece anime. Hey, thanks for watching through the whole video. Took a lot of work, but I'm proud of what came out of it. I think my next video will be about Vampire Survivors, so if you're interested in that, then look forward to it and subscribe so you get notified when it happens. Also, I'm thinking about streaming some Bloons TD6 speedruns because I think there's a lot of untapped potential there. Anyways, this is getting too long.